And welcome to the Ouchcast. With me, as always, is Enrique. Enrique, how's it going?
It's good. Woo! What's good, my nugget? I said nugget, okay?
Chicken nugget, yeah.
Chicken nugget.
How you doing, boo?
Boo Boo is doing good. Oh, that didn't work.
What?
Boo Boo is doing good. That sounds really bad. I am great. Thanks for asking. It's a Saturday, and I got the future ahead of me. So that's exciting.
That's cool. You got any plans for today?
Well, yeah, you know, a friend of mine, her and her husband are having another friend over. They're like all really into music like I am. And so we're all going to hang out together. And for all you people out there, the other person's a guy. So it's nothing. It's not like a blind setup.
Bow wow.
So, no, it's going to be cool. We're going to just hang out, have drinks, and listen to music, talk smack. I went to go watch a band last night called the French Police.
I saw.
Dude, they're so great. They're from Chicago. They started in 2018, but their whole sound is...
Wait. They're from Chicago, but they're called the French Police? The liars!
Oh, here's...
The liars!
You want to get even deeper?
Okay.
They're all Mexican-American, and their deep roots are like 80s dark wave music and rock en español. So if you listen to all their sounds, it's all very synthesizers and really simple like
kinda
rhythms and beats.
Kind of like Glass Bells?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, you know, maybe a more popular band would be they're kind of a little bit like the Cocktail Twins meets London After Midnight, which is probably a band nobody knows.
London After Midnight.
You know, he's got that voice, or like
Negative? No kidding.
no, like Bauhaus.
Oh, Bauhaus.
He's got like the Peter Murphy voice. He's like, they're great though. The French Police is such a great band. Highly recommend them. And so, anyways, when last night I watched them, and so today we're all gonna get together. I bought 2 vinyls, so that's my contribution for the night. We're gonna listen to some of the music on that. We're all gonna get drunk, tell stories.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Have you heard of a band called Tear Garden?
Can't say that I have.
Look into it.
Although, you know, a friend of mine, she had messaged me because I had posted on Instagram the videos, right? And she saw and she's like, "Hey, have you heard of a band called Cigarettes After Sex?" And me, like being the herky guy, I'm like, "Oh my, why are you telling me about this?" She goes, "No, it's a band. You deal weed." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm just messing." And she said, "Yeah, they band French Police remind me of them." So I was listening to them this morning, and yeah,
pretty similar.
Very similar. But
look into Tear Garden. They kind of remind me of Bauhaus, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of skinny puppy Bauhaus. You might like them.
You know, I like all that dark. I have 2 other
albums somewhere. I'll find them for you.
You know, I missed my calling. I should have been a goth guy, like, you know, and you know, like goth people. You know, at least if I probably would have stayed skinny and fair skinned and
not true
and dark and beautiful.
Not true. I've seen a lot of fat goths. A lot of fat goths.
You know, I like to believe that I wouldn't be just because. You know, I would have been committed to the bit.
Just want that.
I would have been fat. I would have been fat.
I would have been fat no matter what. I look too much fucking talking.
But gothic people are beautiful, man. All of them are. They love beautiful music and they wear amazing clothes and they're just, you know, the nicest people. Actually, goth people are the nicest people. They talk like dark stuff, but they're the nicest people.
They're more emotionally in tune, I guess.
I guess so. I don't know, man. Like I've known a lot of. Well, my sister was goth. I mean, look, she became a born again Christian.
You know what's funny? Yeah, that's funny. You know what's funny? Like I never considered myself goth, but I was like goth adjacent because of the whole look and you know, Vampire the Masquerade, Bruja, and all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but. I knew a lot of people who would always talk shit to me in high school or junior high because I was either metal or you know a rocker / goth, whatever.
Yeah.
And now like I'm still friends with a lot of them, and some of them have either gone goth now as adults or they're like, "Oh, hanging out at the Iron Maiden concert with my family," and it's like, "Fuck you, dude!" Like it pisses me off because I used to be called Metallica breath sometimes by people who were like, "Dude," because you know when I was a kid, hip hop ruled the world, rap ruled everything. You know, heavy metal wasn't popular. All those bands were not popular, so I was the outcast in that form.
Well, you know, the people always trying to find a way to keep the good people down. Like, if you remember, we grew up watching like really like crazy nasty stuff like the Faces of Death and
Rotten.com.
Yeah, well, okay, that's a little farther into the future, but I'm talking like 80s and early 90s.
There was Faces of Death, and then later after that there was Traces of Death, which was way better, more graphic, because Faces of Death actually had reenactments in it. So it'd be like 1 or 2 videos of actual people getting injured or killed, and then the rest would be like reenactment, like the whole Screwdriver and the mental asylum bit. Remember that was all fake. that was all fake. It never happened.
Yeah, but I believed it at the time.
Oh, me too.
I believed. I mean, part of me wanted to believe it because I don't know. Like I wanted like that proof that humanity really is that dark, and all the fears that I had growing up are real. And then I realized that no,
it's true. It's just not in that form.
Sure.
If you get the traces, you'll see that. Yeah, I just joined a Facebook group. I probably shouldn't be saying it on the app, but there's a group on Facebook that found the way around everything. Beep, and they basically, yeah, I'll tell you off air, but basically this group basically found a way to trick everything into clicking links to other films.
Beep, beep.
And there's a lot of like narco videos of people getting injured and stuff like that. It's like, Jesus.
So I'm going to tell you right now that okay, so I went through that phase, and I've said it before. I went through the phase, like everybody, I believe most people go through the phase where they want to be scared, frightened, the curiosity. It's just hard not to want to see the worst of humanity doing the worst of things to each other, and just seeing like how frail our bodies really are, and just there's just some morbidness about it, and we cannot escape that instinct, and so therefore we end up on Faces of Death, Traces of Death, and then later on
Rotten.com.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, dude, like I've already went through that phase, and now like I avoid it. No, okay, I don't avoid it, but I am weary of it. So for a long while I had a Twitter account, and then when it became X, I started like less and less.
I deleted mine.
It's turned into like a cesspool of like both porn and of videos, exactly what you're talking about. And so I ultimately deleted it about, I want to say it was maybe like 7 months ago. But before that, it was difficult not to see or come across videos that just instantly would show, like it would start playing and it would be something horrendous. Like the last one that really shook me, without getting into too much detail of it, was just a guy. It's video footage from slightly distance of a guy getting into a fight with another guy, and then for whatever reason out of nowhere, like he stabs him. And I just remember how just detached and inhumane it just all seemed, and frivolous and pointless, that like I had an existential crisis, and I realized I cannot be on Twitter X. I can't be on this, because if this is the stuff that I'm going to see, I got to get away from it. Mind you, I'm not a squeamish guy. Like I'll watch Terrifier, for example, like Terrifier 1, 2, and right now 3 that just came out. I want to watch them, but I know that it's fake.
I've never seen them.
Really?
I've never seen Terrifier. They don't grab my attention. I will. They're on my to-do list. They're on my list for this season. But good. I'm not really. Well,
let me put myself out on the limb here and say that I really think you'll enjoy the first one. I don't know that you'll enjoy the second one, or maybe you will because I think you might enjoy it because of the sort of graphicness of it. What's the most graphic show you give? Just to give me some context.
Well, let's see. The most graphic show or movie, because movies is one thing, but shows, I don't really know. I'm not really a big one that goes into that stuff anymore. Yeah, that's okay. Come on in. And look, you can hear the door.
So coming into the studio / hotel room, we have a special guest back for part 2, round 2. Marco.
And here he is.
Thank you for inviting me back, man. Made me do this whole trip all the way back from Bakersfield again.
Yeah, there you are.
We had to drag your butt back.
Tired.
Here you are.
Another road trip. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So you just came in the middle of interesting discussion. We're talking about horror movies and talking about like what's the most disgusting like movie, and all of this just started from just talking about how we grew up watching Faces of Death, Traces of Death, things that were very difficult. And we went through the phase. I think everybody goes through the phase. My thesis is that I think everybody goes through the phase of wanting to see this like aspect of humanity at its worst. And we just all have that morbid curiosity. And most of us will outgrow it. Some of us don't. Some of us become really enmeshed in it. Me, for myself, completely I avoid it now. Like, it's not that I'm squeamish or anything, because I don't feel I am. I just know that when it comes to like the real stuff, like cartel videos of like torture, I can't. Real stuff. That stuff scares the heck out of me. Just because like I feel like it's so like we walk a thin line between some of these things, and we just never know when this kind of like violence will be inflicted on us or somebody we know.
I did become a little more sensitized to it like, a couple years ago in my 30s. I did, and I stopped for a long time and then when I had kids in my late 30s, I kind of even got more sensitive towards it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Lately, I've got a little like just curious that because it just pisses me off how people actually still are savages. We're still savages. We're still monkeys.
Absolutely.
We're just
human nature.
Yeah, we're just apes in suits. That's all we are. Just clothing on top. And that's all it is.
Well, part of me wants to believe though that what's that phrase that I don't know. I think it might have been Obama who said it, or actually it was Abraham Lincoln. The better angels of our nature. Is that the phrase? I think that's what he said. And so I like to think that we all have like this goodness, but then you see videos like that and you realize how maybe that's not true. Like, I think we all exist in our own body, we're the main hero of our story. And therefore, there's a permanence, there's a kind of concrete permanence we believe that we have. But in reality, we're all very fragile. Let me get off the soapbox, but just to say that when I watch those videos, it shakes that belief in me, which I guess technically should be shooken because we are fragile. Like I'm not the main character in anybody's story other than maybe my kids, so they need me. But beyond that, that time is limited, and I move on. So, I think that watching that stuff makes me feel very small and scared.
What kind of horror movies is it that you're into?
Well, that's the funny thing because I love horror movies. I do, and we were talking about Terrifier. Like
that's how the conversation started.
That it led into that. Mind you, I was talking about Terrifier 1, and Angel said that he hasn't watched it, didn't catch his interest, but he said that it's on his list. And I told him that I would go on a limb, say that I think he'd enjoy the first one, mainly because it has a lot of the elements that I think he'd like. One, it's kind of funny, although not as overtly funny as the second one is, because you have a character named Art the clown, right? And he's a very scary, very emotive looking character, but essentially he's your slasher like Jason or Michael Myers. And he doesn't talk. Everything is all done through pantomime, right? Facial expressions or whatever. And he essentially brutalizes, these two girls like that he follows. And there's something kind of supernatural about him. By the end of the movie, the guy inflicts horrific violence on people. Just anybody that gets in his way to his, him trying to kill these two girls also end up dead, and they go very out of the way with the practical effects, so you'll appreciate that, where blood and gore and whatever, so they're very extreme. And I like those movies, but I can separate myself and say that's fake.
Mark, what movies have you watched? Any horror movies lately or not really?
So in case you haven't introduced me already, my name is Mark, and grew up with these guys. But
sorry,
here I am back on
we
the
just jumped
podcast.
right into it.
Yes.
Just to remind everyone, I did say Marco, but hey, nobody was paying attention.
But anyways, great to be back here. And regarding the scary movies, I remember watching at your place, right, at your house. We were neighbors. Faces of Death, or one of those, right?
Faces of Death.
Okay, I was traumatized since then.
Oh.
And now he's
and
here to
believe it
pay
or
it
not,
back.
I never was into horror movies. Probably after that.
Yeah.
I was like done.
Yeah.
I said I'm going to comedy. I was too funny.
I want to escape reality.
I introduced you to Faces of Death.
Yeah, that's
You introduced me to La Bumba.
was La Bumba.
Remember La Bumba?
No.
That cassette of that 70s porn that you brought over.
What were you
I have
doing
no
with
idea.
70s
It was
porn?
it was 70s porn. It was really
Okay,
gross. It was like this Asian girl with a banana.
Well, where did I get it from?
I don't know, but you and Angel are the ones who like brought this over. Like it was crack. You're like, hey, you want to see something?
so okay, I have this memory of being not with you guys, but a completely different set of friends. It was my friend Sergio, and we had this small group of friends. This was when I was in BGI, so definitely I was much younger.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got a hold of a porn video, but for some reason, and it wasn't just guys, it was guys and girls, and we were all like watching it and being grossed out and laughing at this. I remember the clip, like it's a girl wearing a blue like tight shirt. She had obviously big knockers. She had like blonde hair, and it said "Save the Whales." And she walks over to a guy, right? And she goes, "I'm here because I want you to sign this to save the whales." And the guy goes, "Oh, save the whales!" And he makes a very big play of putting his fingers right on her shirt against her breast. She's not wearing a bra, and he presses up against it saying, "Save the whales, huh? That's a very worthy cause." And then somehow that all led to them having like the most horrendous looking sex with the most horrendous looking like close-up shots. And I just remember like we were all these little kids, man. I must have been like in the 7th grade, 8th grade, and we're all just being like, what the hell's happening here? Like confused to all heck, but yet we couldn't all turn away.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't just me; it was like all these girls too, and they're the ones like watching more of it.
Where were you guys watching it?
We were watching it in a living room on a video. No.
Actually,
It was in a living room at our friend's house.
I did it in the classroom. Okay,
Cochino.
I'll go back to that story. But ours was you, Mark, Angel, and I don't know if it was Manny or not, but it was a bunch of us. I think we got it from Manny.
Well, no. Now that you mentioned that,
you got Manny.
I really got Manny.
There was another one of my brother's friends in there, and I think he had an older brother, and I'm thinking the guy was David. I don't know if you remember David.
Yes, that's who it was.
But I think it was. I don't think we owned it. I think he rented it or something like that from
that's what it was.
From like down the video store or whatever. it was.
Empire Video or something. I don't know what it was.
No, it was like those no-namers, you know.
That's what it was. Empire Video. The one on Eastern was called Empire Video. It was a no-name one.
Got it. There you go.
I think that's what it was. But I don't remember. But I remember we watched it. We were like just for shits and giggles, and we thought it was like the grossest thing. I remember the girl peels the banana. It was an older Chinese lady.
Oh my god! I don't remember that part.
Well, I was the youngest one in the group, so I got traumatized. Dude. So you know how Faces of Death traumatized you? Yes. Yeah, La Boomba traumatized me. And I remember they peeled the banana, and I'm like, what is she gonna do with the banana? And then she's like, it disappeared up her lips, but not the ones on her face.
I have a question.
And then what?
Did you make eye contact?
Oh my god! It's a circle. It's a straight line.
It's a straight line.
I totally forgot about that. But yeah, so she puts the banana in. Oh my god, this is so funny. And then the guy comes in like, you need help eating that? And then he ate the banana out of her nether region.
She puts the banana in, he pulls the banana out, and she puts the banana in, and she shakes it all about.
And
does the hokey pokey, and everyone shouts.
That's what it's all about.
You know, I don't remember. Now that you mention it, I kind of remember like that whole. Was it like a summer maybe that we were like just kind of hanging out or something like that? Because it wasn't on a regular time.
No.
But I don't remember the actual videos as much as I remember that we used to be like the. They were magazines. They were like newspapers, sort of.
LA Express or something like that.
Yes.
They're called, yeah.
And I suppose there were publications for escorts, maybe. I don't know what was it, or was it like a mag that
was for strip clubs, adult sex shops, and massage parlors, I think.
Yeah, so they didn't necessarily. I don't think they showed a lot, right? But
they really didn't show much.
But it was like the idea behind it.
The idea behind it.
So I think that was, I remember that somebody
and then there was that sex shop on Eastern with the plastic flaps, and we would walk by and someone we would always get the guy who was walking closer. We would try to push him into the sex shop and then run away laughing and stuff.
Yeah, that happened to me. You guys tried to do that to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, so I was thinking I don't remember that. Okay,
no, I tried to do it to Enrique.
Yeah. There was it actually was right near the pharmacy that used to be the RX pharmacy.
Yeah,
and
same section where Toys R Us used to be.
But down the way. Actually more closer to where there's the Taco Bell.
Now there's a Taco Bell,
and then right there's a furniture shop that's been there forever. And then right there was a row of stores, like there are old stores that had like old houses on top, right?
The apartments on top. Yeah,
I mean, I think I remember that.
Yeah, because all of that used to be like the old downtown Bell Gardens back in the day,
and it was like white stuccoed with like a green trim. And that's how it was for a long time. And then the door, they would open up, and it just had like those plastic flaps like that you have in the carniceria.
Going back.
But they were black.
Yeah.
And then
there was the entrance was in the back too,
with a parking lot in the back.
Got it.
And I think I remember going in there finally once when I was 18.
Me too.
And I remember how weird it was because there was nothing really dirty about it other than the contents that they had. But they had like all the racks and stuff with like magazines and stuff. But then to the right there was one of those old Nickelodeons, like you put like a 10 penny or 20, I forget, it was you put a penny or something in it, and it would and it would turn. It would turn. It was like one of those little machines, and it was like, you know, a girl being chased by a guy or whatever, and she was
that's
naked.
fun. I never saw those.
Yeah, but then right next to it, where like you can see there were like the doors or the compartments where you had, I guess, the individual like video screens, and you would pay to watch whatever. And I never went in there, and I'm glad I didn't, because I hear that's where like that meaning that stuff, like, put it under the black light and forget it.
Yeah, there was
that was like a biohazard.
Yeah, Resident Evil shit. But no, but you know what's funny? Like I went with my buddy Gabriel a couple times, you know, shits and giggles and stuff. And then my friend Jason Nunez, you remember Jason Nunez, the Puerto Rican guy?
Not off the top of my head right now.
Okay, well, that guy, he told us a story that he went in there to buy some porn, and you know, we were like in our 20s, like early 20s. And he went back to his car and he was looking at it when there was a tap on the door on his window, and he lowered, and there was a guy right there. He's like, "Hey, you need help with those videos?" And he's like, "No, I'm okay." He's like, "You sure? Like we can watch them together."
Whoa!
Yikes! Whoa. Yikes, man! Talk about shooting your shot,
dude. That was so strange, and I was like, "Whoa!" And apparently, he said that they told him that adult shop was known for that. There was a lot of that going on. I'm like, yeah, I'm never going back to that place. I mean, you know, whatever floats your boat. I'm not kink shaming, but
wow.
No, that's not king shaming right there. That's just nasty.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they used to have like the regular video stores, and they used to have the back part of it or whatever
behind the beaded curtain. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure those places that you're talking about were or are, I don't even know if they're still around, but they're pretty shady. I mean,
they're not. Think so. The internet.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that.
You don't need to go.
Yeah, you can do it in the privacy of your own room. Yeah. But you know, there's still some places, but they're far and few between. And my guess is that their primary function is it's a social den for the depraved people,
the debauchery. You know?
And I'm good with that. I don't need to know. Like, you know, when I was dating somebody some years back, and we were like in Ventura County, and there was like a shop that sold, you know, they sold like, you know, I want to say like lingerie or whatever. And I'm sure she's going to text me later because she listens to the show, and she's going to correct me because she corrected me about the jitney story that I talked about on one of the past episodes. Yeah, what we were both right, by the way. Like, she basically reminded me that the word jitney, because I said that it was like the old taxis, like the people would pay for, which is true, they did. But she maybe didn't correct me, but she added that the jitney was actually an old name for a nickel. And so when you called them a jitney, you were really talking about the nickel. And like in Long Beach and New York, that's how much it costs to take one of these public rides and whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, whatever. It's stupid. I'm sure she's going to correct me with this story. So just remember that there was like a shop. It might have been a sex shop, or it might have been like a lingerie shop. It might have been both. I don't know. But I remember like her suggesting, "Oh, we should check it out." And it means to be like, "Nah, I'm good." I'm like adverse to that. I don't know why. There's just something about like that public kind of like display of it that I can't handle. I'll give you another example. We talked about this. I've never been to a strip club. Never. I've never been into a strip club, and I don't really have a desire for. I mean, I'm more curious about it now, just because I've talked to friends over the last 10, 15 years who go to them, like couples, right, wife and husband, and they have a great time and they say it's great. But I myself I don't see the draw of being aroused in a group. So imagine like a bunch of guys together, and there's a hot girl, and we're all like getting boners together. That just seems weird to me, because that's such a personal experience.
Just don't make eye contact.
Just don't make eye contact.
Just don't make eye contact, and you'll be okay, dude. When I was younger, I used to go a lot to strip clubs and stuff, and I had friends that were strippers and stuff, so I would go hang out with them and stuff. And it was different for me. Plus, I was dating a girl that was into it, so that's a different experience. But going like single and stuff, that's not my cup of tea. But I mean, to each their own. If that's what they want, they want.
Sure.
Now, as a married man, of course, I'm not going to go to one because it's stupid. To me, it's stupid. But that's just me. But those are also dying.
Are they?
Yeah, there's not many around. I mean,
like you said, probably the internet, right? People just like get that same type of entertainment if that's what they're looking for on the internet. But I remember growing up, like you said, along my early 20s and all that stuff. I wasn't going to them, but I was playing music at the time, right? I was in a band, so we used to play a lot of nightclubs, and the nightclubs themselves used to have like not stripper night, but they used to have like leg contest night.
Leg contest?
Yes, leg contest night.
Okay, what is that?
Well, it basically became strip night, right? So what would happen is women amongst the crowds, and some of them knew that it was leg night, so they would show up at the club, and sometime throughout the night, they will close down the dance floor and they would say, okay, concurso de pierna, right? Leg contest. And so they would invite the women to come out in their skirts, dresses, whatever, come out, walk around, dance a little bit, show a little bit of leg. But as the competition got more fierce, the skirt got higher and higher and higher, and the ones that knew what they were doing and knew and wanted the prize money, basically the dress would come off, right? So by default of us being there performing, we will get a free show basically. Yeah. So I mean, I saw plenty of that from that angle.
Yeah.
You know, and like I say, it took the same idea, and like Enrique said, I mean, it's kind of weird being in that setting when you're amongst like I said, your friends or my band members and all that stuff. You're like, should I, look, not look? I mean, it's kind of strange to be around other men.
Just don't look at the guy.
Yeah.
It just seems weird to me. I
agree.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
That is a little weird. I don't know, but it's not good. I don't know.
Maybe that's the draw for some people, though.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no thanks.
So, like, what are some of like the craziest stories that you can think of from like the band days, like from like incidents like that happened?
Well, I would say, I mean, there's quite a few. So I was playing music from early on, early age, and so we did a lot of nightclubs.
Talked about the young rappers. Oh no,
Yes, beyond the young rappers, beyond Cemetery. Life drew me into the banda scene, right? And we were talking about Oscar Jimenez, which Enrique, you mentioned he had the band, which reminds me also, you also talked about not being in the yearbook a certain year and so forth. I happened to find some yearbooks, right? And in that yearbook that I found, I forgot what year exactly.
Enrique,
I think it was 94. No, I actually did not find you in particular, but I was looking for other stuff, right? But what I found was there's actually a picture. I wish I had it, but I could have brought this stuff, right? I didn't bring any of this stuff. There's a picture of the banda when we were playing there.
Oh, wow.
In the quad, in one of those areas. There was like a Cinco de Mayo type festivity.
In the quad or in Little TJ?
Well, let me ask you, was this...
In between.
No, it's the quad. Because remember, there was what you called Little TJ was where the library used to be at, and there was like a concrete like slab there.
It was
that was separate.
Actually, no, it was a CMU. It was a brick little like patio thing.
It was as tall as this table, and we used to call it Placita Olera because that's where all of the Hispanic, like the really Hispanic, the ones
Mexican, they had just came, basically.
Yeah, because all of us, most of us were like Mexican.
We were all pochos.
In that school with just a very, very, very small group of like. Maybe there was like 4 or 5 black kids that I can think of, and I know for a fact that there was maybe
Parker,
like
Bridget.
one, right? Or there was 1 or 2 Asian kids, Peter Wu or
Heidi Chan,
and pretty much everybody else was maybe Salvadoreño or somewhere from Latin America somewhere. But we for the most part, we're all Mexican. But we still found a way to be racist to our own kind because we had that little spot that we call Placita Olvera, which is named after the downtown LA area.
We called it Little TJ. That's what we called it.
I don't remember what it was. I think it was Little TJ, huh?
Yeah, Little TJ.
Yeah.
But no, he's right though. We did call it also Placita Olvera because that was like the other one, but everyone called it Little TJ. And there was like, and then I had a friend who actually called it Chunt Central.
But it was much funnier to call it Placita Olvera because that's a real place, and we just somehow found that's where all the Mexicans are at. I'm like, no, bro, we're all here.
We're always here, dude. Shut the fuck up.
And then you go through the hallway, and then on the other side was the quad where the band was at, the band room and the choir room, and that's where you're referencing that they're playing. I remember that picture.
There was the quad, which was literally a rectangle, square. And then what would be the choir room, the back wall of it had a little stage, spa, a little stage, concrete stage. That's where
it was actually like 3 steps. It was like
yes,
step and then another little level and then another little level, and then you could perform there. Yeah.
So we happened to be performing there on like a Cinco de Mayo or whatever it was, and so I found the picture in the yearbook. If you could believe that, that was awesome. And so that's where we kind of kicked that off, and from there, we went out. We started doing a lot of basically small time touring. We started doing like California, Nevada, Arizona, all over the 5 freeway up to the Bay Area and beyond and all that stuff. And those early years, I mean, it was more fun than anything. It wasn't the sex, drugs and rock and roll for us. We were young, but we didn't even drink. Like I literally didn't start drinking until I was 21. Being that I was in the music scene, in the bar scene, and everything like that. But for us, it was just hanging out, just like you and Enrique were hanging out for all those years, all that time, doing it, making the music and all that stuff. That's basically what we were doing too. But for us, it was more like, going out, seeing new places, meeting new people. I mean, sure, we were meeting a lot of girls along the way and all that stuff, but it was just for, shits and giggles kind of thing. I mean, you never saw them again, really. You just said hi, bye kind of a thing,
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, well, if you got lucky, I guess. But for us, like I said, we were just kind of like, doing little gigs here and there. It wasn't, we were famous, nothing like that. We did happen to record an album at that time. I don't even know if you knew about that.
No, I didn't.
We happened to record an album at that time, and it was mostly cover songs. We did a few like originals.
Yeah.
But the one cover song that we actually got some radio time on Spanish radio. Yeah, we got radio time. Was a cover that we did on what's his name? Richie Valence's song.
O'Donna?
No.
Let's Go?
Now you got me all jumping with the
sorry,
but like the more popular ones.
You're mine and we belong together.
Yeah.
That song. So we did that cover in Spanish, and we got some airplay. And so that airplay actually gave us a little bit of a open of a door into that music world. Again, we were kind of young and inexperienced, so it didn't really take us that far as we wanted to go. But hey, we were doing radios, we were doing local like morning shows, that kind of stuff, and kind of doing it up, and the whole. In my younger life, like I mentioned in the last episode, I wanted to be a rock star, right? I wanted to be Metallica. I wanted to be Guns N' Roses. And it's funny how, life just takes you elsewhere. And here I am in the Banda stage, doing Banda music. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it all that time. And then what happened after that, the band did break up after a few years, and that's when I started going more into the backup bands. And doing backup bands, this were headliners. And that's where the kind of story changed in terms of the atmosphere.
That's when you met Freddie and Manny and all them, right?
I did meet them around that time.
Banda La Arrasadora, right?
La Arrasadora was the last band I played with. La Arrasadora is still around.
Yeah.
They're called... La Arrasadora Banda El Refugio is the name of their
that's
band.
right, El Refugio.
Yes.
Why so long?
I don't know. You kind of have to ask them. But the reality is, I think La Arrasadora was already taken. So I think they had to add sort of Del Refugio to complete the name or separate themselves. Just like any other genre as well, you kind of adapt to the name structure.
Yeah.
Right? Like in our 90s, there was a lot of 2-word band names with like a fruit and a color or something like that, you know what I mean? And so Banda kind of carries their own style of naming a band. So anyways, I met them before that band though.
Yeah.
I met them while I was playing, after I started playing with and I know this is outside of you guys' genre and probably your listeners too, I don't know, but this is back in the 90s when Quebradita was in. Right, and Quebradita was hot, and there was a guy named Jesse Morales, and they would call him.
You got it. Take it away.
Yeah, yes, Johnny Canales. Yeah, not Johnny Canales.
Oh, he just died. Johnny Canales just died.
Oh man, yeah, he was
Johnny
the best.
Carnales. Who's that?
He was a guy on UHF who did like local bands and stuff, and he'd be like, "Okay, up next is the Banda La Arrasadora del Refugio," and then it's like with the song Richie Valens. We belong together. Okay, guys, take it away. And then
that was his catchline. Take it away. He was he was like a
host,
Sábado Gigante type thing, but really local, but in Texas. He was actually from Texas and he filmed in Texas, so he was a lot of Tejano music that he would do. Anyways, so I was playing with this other guy called El Original de la Sierra, Jesse Morales. Some people might know him out there. And with him, we were able to go to Mexico, Sinaloa, Jalisco, TJ, Mexicali, along with the United States, and kind of travel all over the place, and Chicago, and Florida, and all kinds of places. So
basically everywhere the Mexicans were.
That's basically what we did. Yeah.
Because I don't hear no Michigan. I don't hear any Connecticut.
Nope. And that's where it went. But, there was a little bit of... there's a bad side to it, right? And again, just outside the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, it was more... A lot of this music was based on cartels. And so there is a lot of lyrics that kind of go with that. And I personally kind of moved away, and I don't perform that music. I don't listen to that music anymore. A lot because of that reason, right? And speaking of, like we were speaking earlier about, like watching things that are horrific and so forth. I mean, this is reality in terms of cartels, right? There are real murders stuff going on. A lot of these people that I was performing with, they were banned from going to certain places in Mexico, or else they'd be killed, right? They'd be shot. So now we're put in that position. And sometimes, believe it or not, guys, I never participated in this, but some people would go to Mexico and they would be allowed inside the prisons there to perform for the high-ranking people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they would go in with a chip, like a coin or something like that, and that was their key out. So if you had that, that's the only way you can come out, right? So
damn, imagine you got those keys taken away from you.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh!
Right. So, anyways, I didn't see a lot of that going on, but still, violence, the clubs were full of violence and a lot of bad things like that. And
that was always the thing that I found so interesting about Quebradita, or Mexican music in general, because it all sounds very kind of like European. A lot of it sounded like European, like polka music.
It is based on polka music.
All of that stuff. And there's just something very like kind of carnival-ish about it. And yet, like a lot of these bands got mixed up in a lot of that violence. It became like the theme music, like narco corridos and stuff. That just somehow like boils the blood of people, to excites them, gets them crazy, and just to hear that stuff and to know that that's connected. Just I find it so weird. It's such a weird kind of culture that was created around that. Earlier we were talking about the videos and stuff, and I remember watching one of I don't want to get too much into details, but essentially it was a cartel video. It was a massacre, or I should say an execution, and the music was playing in the background just because of how silly it sounded. Just made it all the more menacing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
uncomfortable even.
It kind of goes hand in hand in a way, and that's what I don't like. And like you were saying about desensitizing and all that stuff, and I was desensitized to horror movies, but also to violence. To be honest with you. Down the road, even like as an adult, I was kind of desensitized to violence, in the sense that I can see somebody like being, let's say, beat up or something like that, and I can actually put myself away from it. Like, no big, it's not me, no big deal, because I would see it a lot at the nightclubs.
Which is what you did when Enrique got beat up. You were there.
Oh, that's right. You were there for that. Yikes.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It was such a terrible memory, but cool.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, no, I totally disassociated and went out of my own body for that one. So no shame on that.
That's too bad, man. That's just, I don't know. But I still follow. I still like horror movies. I mean, I did get desensitized, but I'm back. You know what though? I do not like slasher flicks. Is that funny? Like, I don't like slasher, like Scream. Mm-hmm. I hated the Scream series. I don't like it. My family loves it. I don't. I like supernatural stuff. That's my take. Like Terrifier, things like that. That's my jam.
I like more like the mind psychological type
thrillers. Yeah, those are good too.
Not necessarily the murdering part of the aspect, the violent part of it.
Yeah,
I think more the part that gets you psychologically, like something could happen or something global, something bigger.
What's the last good horror movie you saw?
I haven't seen any movies forever. Can I say Happy Death Day?
You know what? You know what's funny? We just saw, we saw them last year, like a couple years ago when they went on. I love the Happy Death Day. Yeah. I think it's great. We just introduced my son into the Happy Death Day, and we saw that on Thursday. And then last night, we saw Happy Death Day 2U.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, dude, I can't wait to the third movie. Is there
going to be a third one?
Yeah, they're supposed to be working on it. Happy Death Day is basically Groundhog Day meets murder mystery kind of thing. Okay. It is so good because the acting is so good. That's the reason why it's so good. Every actor in that, every member, it makes the movie so good.
I agree.
If they would have gotten someone else to play Tree, the girl, it wouldn't have worked. She was perfect. She was a great.
Yes.
And it's one of those movies where you're like, why isn't it more popular? It's a Blumhouse movie as well. Yeah. It came out in 2017, the second one. The first one came out 2014, I think, 2015.
Okay.
And what's great about it is that the first one, it just happens. You don't know why, but it's a great story. And then the second one kind of explains what happens in the first one. And it's the next day. So it's a very, very good movie. It's on Peacock if you're interested.
I think it's one of the best movies that has been written a long time, period, because it incorporates so many things. It has the comedy essence of it. It has the horror kind of.
It has the whodunit.
It has the whodunit.
It has the slasher whodunit, which is great.
awesome, and
movie.
they balanced it out so perfectly,
Yeah.
right? To not get too much of one or the other, and then they left you. I didn't even know there was going to be a part 2 right after part 1.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, part 2." I'm like, "What are they going to come up with?" But then I realized, yes, there was some,
Unfinished loops,
loops, and I said, "That's perfect." And the way they did it was perfect, and I didn't know there was going to be part 3.
There was supposed to be a part 3 like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, but it never happened because of COVID and everything else. Like that. So it's been on limbo ever since.
Yeah.
But there is a story. And a matter of fact, I just read the other day an article where they were talking about it, and they were like, whatever happened in part 3? And they're like, well, it's still in the pipeline, but at this point, we don't think so because it's been so many years. But it'd be great to do another Happy Death Day.
Interesting.
It's a great story.
It's got the. I mean, I just kind of read a little about it, but essentially, it's Groundhog's Day sounds exactly right. Yeah, that's cool. That's a great idea, great concept.
You got to watch it, man.
And then the other one that I want to watch is the same people. I think Blumhouse also did a remake of Freaky Friday, but with a serial killer with Vince Vaughn.
Oh,
so that's called Just Freaky, I think it's called. And that's on my to-do list. I got to watch that, but I haven't had a chance. The last good horror movie I saw was probably The Devil's Backbone.
Devil's Backbone. Is that a Rob Zombie?
No, Benicio del Toro.
Oh, okay. I never heard of it.
No, El Espinazo del Diablo.
Well, there's a lot of movies that have like the name Devil in it. So
it's in Spain. It's during the Civil War in 1930s and stuff.
Oh.
And there's an orphanage where this kid gets like thrown into because his parents are dead. And there's a weird thing where there's a kid called Santi that went missing, and they're like, oh, he ran away during the war.
Okay.
But all the kids are like, no, Santi's here, and he's like a ghost. And there's this really creepy ghost that does come through the hallways at night, and it's not like it's like right front and center. It's really crazy. Yeah. But at the same time, it's a murder mystery, like what happened to Santi, what's going on, and it's a very, very great story, and I highly recommend it. The twist is kind of, it's foreshadowed. You could tell what it is, but it's still very well done. So that's a great one. In Spanish, it's El Espinazo del Diablo. In English, it's The Devil's Backbone. It's one of his first films that he did back before he went Hollywood. Okay. So that's a good one. I recommend that one. VHS, the first one was really good.
Yeah, that's an anthology series of a bunch of different directors doing like disconnected like horror stories, but the connective tissue is that it's like found footage on a VHS tape. Did you ever watch this? Yeah. No. So there's a bunch of them now. I think they're up to like 8 or 9 maybe.
Yeah. There's 3 main ones: VHS, VHS 2, VHS Viral, and then there's like 4 other ones which are like VHS 94, VHS 97,
Shutter
Bottom, and they have all those exclusively. Yeah. So if you want to watch the other ones, they're to be honest,
actually movies or documentaries.
They're movies. They're movies. It's kind of like. Do you remember Tales from the Crypt?
Yes.
It's kind of like that. Like it's usually like 3 or 4 stories, and they're put together like that. And there's like one plot that tells the whole story, and then from there they basically like what it is like on the. I won't give much away. On the first one, someone hired these thieves to go into a house to steal a VHS cassette. And when they go in, they see this guy who's dead on a couch, on a chair, just kind of like this.
Yeah.
In a room, in an old, funky room. And they're recording it with video, too. And they're like, talking about it. And there's, behind them, there's tons of VHS cassettes just stacked. So, and then there's a TV in front of them, so they're playing them. And as they're playing them, you're seeing the videos. And some of them, most of them are supernatural in nature. Okay. And there's always like different, like each one's a different story. And then, there's something going on in the main story with the guy and the thieves and all that. So it's a great story. The second one, I don't remember that well. I wasn't a fan of the second one. I think the first one was perfect. Second one had some moments, but I think there was just an overreach. And then Viral, I don't think was that great.
So one of the cool stories in VHS, just to give you some context, there's 2 actually. And I'm not sure if it's the first or second
Is it
one.
I Like You?
You have to remind me the content of it. I don't remember the name of it.
I Like You was the story where there's this guy who he's a geek and his friends are taking him out to get laid, but they give him these hidden camera glasses, like the ones we used to sell at Mr. Spy.
Yes.
And he goes out and they go to this club, and there's weird little girl in the corner who's just staring at him the whole time. And they get some girls, and they're like, and then she comes up to him and she goes, "I like you," just like that, but like in a weird kind of like a animalistic. And he's like, "Oh, okay." So then they go back to the hotel room, and they're trying to have like a little orgy, and she's just in the corner. She wants nothing to do with the other people, just with that guy with the nerd. And then basically this one guy starts trying to make advances to her, and she doesn't like it. She starts like hissing at him like a cat. Then all of a sudden,
I remember this one.
Things happen. There's a twist, and it's like, holy shit.
Well,
and then the story finishes when she's like,
at this point, like,
you don't like me?
Is that the one that ends in the hotel room when they're like out and turns out she's like
just
okay.
don't ruin it. But that's
Okay.
the one.
Right.
Then there's another one that is great that I mean there's other stories.
That one's okay, but if I
That's one of my favorite. But the other one is my favorite is Saturday the 14th. That's a story where basically there's a survivor from an event, and they're hinting that it's Friday the 13th, of course, right?
Okay.
So Saturday the 14th, which is the title, she goes back on a Saturday with new people to where she was the survivor of this massacre that happened in the middle of the woods, and she's like trying to find out what's going on. And she goes back. She doesn't tell these people. She's using them as bait to bring out this murderer. And when the murderer does appear, it's like the VCR, the recording, the camcorder cannot capture him. He's blurry. So it's like very like a supernatural element to it. She's like trying to figure it out. Like she's a survivor who's trying to fight back. So I thought was original. That was a great story.
Tuesday the 17th, right?
Is it Tuesday 17th? I thought it was Saturday the 16th.
No, it's Tuesday the 17th. Yeah.
Well, there you are.
But you know,
Close
okay.
enough.
So there's the one that I liked, and I don't remember the name of it. I don't have your kind of good memory in it, but it's the one where
Well, apparently my memory's not that good because I thought Saturday the 16th. But go on.
yeah, that's true. But you said it with so much confidence. I believed you.
Yeah. That's why I have you here.
There's this one, and you can remind me, but it takes place inside like a cult, right?
Oh yes.
And it's just really, it's like a first person perspective. Actually, most of them aren't they?
They're mostly all first person.
Yeah,
actually,
and
they all are because they're all someone who's recording them, and
there's a very kind of like DIY kind of feel to it. Although you can tell some of them are a little bit more polished than others, but this one, this person somehow ends up in a building when there's a cult happening, some ritual, and sure enough, they summon some demon. It's just wacko and crazy,
weird.
but incredible.
It's weird, but I think that one's in part 2.
Is that in part 2?
I'm not too sure because they blend together. There's another story. I'm gonna give like every story away. You're not gonna listen. There's another story where there's a guy, a bicycle rider, and on a mountain bike in the woods who has a GoPro on his helmet, and he's riding it, and he falls and breaks his neck and dies. But then all of a sudden he comes back as a zombie, so he's attacking other people with the GoPro on his head. So that was a kind of cool, like a little thought, but it's really quick and nothing. There's another story where there's this couple, and this one's not paranormal, but it's really good. There's this couple that they're like on a road trip, and they're all lovey-dovey with each other and all that, and they're recording everything with the new camcorder. And then at night, someone turns on the camcorder and is recording them when they're in bed, and they whip out a knife and they're like playing with them like that, and then they put the camera back, and they move things around, just fucking with them the whole night. And the guy's losing his mind, the girl's losing her mind. Then on one night, all of a sudden, the camcorder turns on again. They're asleep in bed, and then he comes over with a knife to the guy's neck and just plunges it in.
Oh yeah,
and he dies, and like there. And then there's of course, like always, they have twists. You figure out what it is, and it's
right.
Interesting.
I remember you shared with me a couple of your stories. One in particular, you should pitch your stories to them. It's like, remember you had that purgatory story?
No, I don't remember.
What do you mean? No, you don't remember?
I don't remember. I have a lot of stories, dude. I have right now the ones that I have that I want to make is takoyaki. I have the cul-de-sac, and I have sobriety. You're talking about sobriety.
That sounds about right.
Yes,
that sounds about right.
Jack Miller. Yeah,
that sounds about right. Yeah,
that's actually
because he's at a bar. He's at a bar, right? He's
at a bar called the Whiskey Sour.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Al, the bartender, and the whole time he's having a great time. He's a drunk. He's a lush.
Yeah.
And he's in his wife Mary doesn't really like. She's mad at him. His best friend is like Danny. He's like, hey man, you got to treat your wife right. There's hints that Danny and Mary are kind of like together, or like having an affair behind his back, and it's all these things. Anyways, lo and behold, bada bing, bada boom, you find out that basically it's all fake.
Yeah,
he actually was in a major car accident, and everyone that he has been interacting with or has a relationship with were actually the victims of the car accident that he caused by being a drunk driver. So at the end, Al is actually the Grim Reaper. Danny is actually the husband of the other car that was driving with his pregnant wife Mary, and they died in the crash. And then even like the neighbor was part of it, that he died as well. Like he was like a pedestrian that got hit by the car. The guy named Bud. They're all alcohol names, by the way. Jack Miller. Jack Miller. Mary, Bloody Mary.
All right.
And Danny was Jack Daniels, his best friends, Jack Daniels.
Did they got Fireball in there and Midori Sour?
That's all. And then the whiskey sour. And then the way that he basically snaps out of it, it's basically called sobriety because he's dying. So this whole story is going on in his head and he's sobering up, but he's dying at the same time. So that was the story of sobriety.
What a great story, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I don't have the funds to do it. So I just never really went around to it. But I had this whole idea, like there was something called the blanks. So there's people that you see around him, like besides the main people you see, which are only, those that I just mentioned. Everyone else, you see them the whole time in the background. They don't have no faces because they're blanks. They don't exist. They're all in his mind. So I had all these stories, and then the way he snaps out of it is basically kind of like a Groundhog Day moment where he notices that as he's in the bar, he keeps drinking, but he can't get drunk. So like little by little, the alcohol's not having no effect on him. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell? So he's getting angrier and angrier because he cannot get that high from being drunk. That's when he realizes towards the end that it's the same song on the jukebox playing all the time, which is Freddie Fender's Wasted Days and Wasted Nights. And that's what actually makes him realize. And he's like, wait a minute. And he turns around one of the other people there and they all have blank faces. They have nothing. It's just skin.
Yeah.
So that's what woke him up. And then that's when he realized Al starts talking to him, telling him, it's time to go, dude. We're closing up. You got to come with me. That's the ending to sobriety.
Turns out that he was the worm at the bottom of the tequila all along.
Oh, thank you. I got your worm, big boy. So that's the story. That's why when you said purgatory, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool idea. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty...
So I said it on the air. You can have it. I don't give a shit. I'm never going to make any money off these
No. This has been officially copyrighted.
That's
don't
true.
take his story.
It has been recorded, and today is... I don't know what today is.
Yeah.
It's
but
October.
Don't worry. It's going to... As soon as it gets like... put online, that's the date that it was the episode's published.
Got it.
Yeah.
That works. No,
Yeah, 'cause
there's some good stories, but
It's a good story. I mean, it's derivative a little, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's
what I'm
exactly
saying.
that was exactly what I had. What I said when I wrote it.
Yeah.
I wrote it as like a throwaway with my friend Gabriel. And I thought the same thing. I go, you know what? It kind of reminds me of Soul Survivor. I told him, but it doesn't.
Well, if you want to get super classical, there was a story called "Waiting for Godot." It's
I know that one.
super old, but
Yeah.
it's a popular playwright, and the premise is it's two guys.
I hate to say it. Isn't it Godot?
Yeah.
Or is it Godot?
No, you're right. It's Godot.
Okay.
You're right. No, you're good. Two guys meet, and it's implied that they're dead, but they don't know, and they're essentially waiting for Godot, and Godot could potentially be God. Who knows? But along the way, there's just like them sort of reflecting on life, and it's a famous play.
Yeah, there's been a few things. There's nothing original. There's
also this French one. It's almost like 12 Angry Men, but it's basically these people like that are in this room, and essentially the room is supposed to be like purgatory, and just like horrible things happen to them, and you find out at the end that they're all dead. And then
Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder is definitely a much more interesting idea on that, where this guy is right at the edge of his life, and he's sort of seen it all, and it's just
There was a remix to Jacob's Ladder, wasn't there?
Didn't watch it. I didn't care for it.
Right?
There was.
Yeah, I
didn't want to.
So good. Why would you even?
Yeah, the original, so one of my favorite video game series is called Silent Hill, and a lot of that was influenced by, at least the second one, Silent Hill 2, was really heavily influenced by Jacob's Ladder, on top of a bunch of other stuff from Stephen King and The Mist and all that stuff.
And Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's I know what you mean, because like the Japanese, when they were trying to reference an old town, because they wanted to make their story take place in America, in one of these little towns, and so they looked up how a school. They wanted to see how a school looked, and so the school that they fashioned it after was Kindergarten Cop, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
So it's not a tomball.
So the outside of the school facade looks like the one in the movie. When they go into the lobby and everything, that also looks like that in the game. And then when you go into some of the classrooms, and this is on the first Silent Hill, not the second one, but on the first one, and so it's like really pixelated graphics. But when you go into the classroom, it's the same classroom from Kindergarten Cop. And so they just had no other. They had no other point of reference, so that's what they went for.
Okay. Yeah, but it's still good.
Indeed it is.
No, I got to get that Silent Hill 2. Damn it. Have you been playing any video games or not really?
You know, I dropped off of video games a long time ago, but it's funny you bring that up because every time I think I remember Enrique, when you come to mind, Enrique, I remember a Final Fantasy.
Oh,
I'll tell you why.
God.
I know.
He wants. This is getting gross.
Yeah.
He has a Final Fantasy.
Enrique, when I think of you, I think of the Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
Well, yeah.
I remember. No. We grew up on the old video games, but I actually left video games when I went to music. It just, it wasn't my thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I loved the game Final Fantasy, right? The original one. I was obsessed with it, and I finished and all that stuff. And I remember when Final Fantasy 2 came out, right? For all you guys listening, it's like, this is a long time ago, right? To say part 2. Enrique, you had it.
Yeah.
You had Final Fantasy part 2, and I went to your house. I remember I went to your house, and I was so jealous that you had that game.
Yeah.
And it's I watched you play it. I said, "This is so awesome, right?" Because
it looks so realistic.
The
graphics are blowing my mind.
Oh my God!
Well, that's exactly what happened. But in reality, the jump from Final Fantasy 1 to Final Fantasy 2 was ginormous.
It was huge.
It was
ginormous.
If you remember, because so for the audience, Final Fantasy 1 was on the Nintendo, the 8-bit
NES.
system.
NES.
Now in Japan, they released part 2, part 3, part 2 and part 3, right?
Yeah.
And part 4, actually. They released all of these. They looked exactly like, only slightly better than the first one. Part 5, on the other hand, came out on the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And over here in America, instead of calling it part 5, they called it part 2. So they called it Super Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah.
And so that's why the graphics were completely different.
Such a big blow.
They looked a lot like the first one, right? Remember all the character classes, like the warrior, the mage, and I forget the ninja guy. Remember the little animation for the punching hand.
I miss those games, man.
Yeah. So that game was, man, that was such incredible.
You know what's funny though? Like if you think back, okay, so there was a very big visual upgrade from like the Atari 2600 to the NES or Sega Master System, right? That was huge. Like you could tell the difference. Then Super Nintendo, Genesis, that Switch, that generation, even Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, that generation, PlayStation, and all that. But nowadays, there is no big upgrade. Like I had the Xbox 360 and then I went to the Xbox One. And there was an upgrade, but it wasn't like enough for me to be like, oh my God.
Right.
Then the Xbox One X or the Xbox Series X, which I have, from the one to that one, my son has the one, I have the Series X. I don't see a big difference. I don't see no difference at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe the load time is a little quicker, but other than that, it's nothing. And then now they have a new one that came out, and like I don't see the difference. I honestly don't see the difference. The same thing with the PlayStation. I don't see the difference between 3 and the 5.
I think it gets to a point, right, where you're visually, we can only see so much pixels or graphic.
Yeah. And I'm still a gamer. I still play all the time, but it's not the same as when we were kids. Like when we were kids, it was a lifestyle.
Man.
For me now, it's, if I'm lucky, I'll play. Like Enrique just told me there was a new Zelda game that was on sale that I wanted, so I bought it while we were setting up because you pay $13 every so often you'll get it. So I'm like, okay, cool, I'll do that, cheap, whatever. But I promise you this, I don't think I'm going to play that game for at least another 4 months. Why? Not because I don't want to. It's just I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
Or just life in general. Absolutely. So I've got tons of games in my collection that I'm like, oh, I just found out the other day I was going to buy the Mario Rabbids game, the Spark of Destiny or something, the second game. Right. It's a Mario Brothers Raving Rabbit game that came out. It's like an offset. I was going to buy it because it was on sale for $20. And lucky for me, I'm like, wait a minute. I looked at my collection. I still have it wrapped. It's like sealed and I have it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not buying it anymore. But that's adulthood, I guess. I just don't play anymore.
I would tell you the game that I play like on my phone or whatever on the computer, chess. I come back to chess and that's it.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
Because like you said, any other type of game for me is like a little too time consuming.
Yeah.
And then learning the game more than anything.
Yeah.
That's the most difficult part.
Yeah, my kids started teaching me some new games and I'm like, not interested.
So, like when I knew you guys when young, I was going through my last phase of video gaming that would take a pause for a while. I never truly stopped buying video games, but I did stop playing them for a good while. Like when I was in elementary and middle school, I was religiously playing all the Nintendo games and the Atari games and what have you. I had a Game Boy, all of that. But then in high school, it became harder. Like, I had friends, I had a girlfriend, I was in band, I had like a social life, and I would go home and I would play some of the games like Chrono Trigger, Castlevania. So I was still gaming. I just wasn't as hardcore as I once was. And then I want to say when I graduated, I had learned about Doom, right, on the PC, and I started playing that. But we didn't own a private PC until maybe, gosh, I want to say it was like, well, actually it must have been like the year after I graduated, but my brother had bought it. And that's kind of when I started playing again for a little bit. It was mostly online games on the PC, but I still kept on buying video games. So just like, Angel just said, where he's probably not going to play for 5 months. I've had this habit since then, even then to now, where I buy video games and I have a backlog of games that I've just never played and I've collected. So all the way from the Nintendo 64 up into the current gen PlayStation 5, I do have games that I haven't played, and I play every now and then. But I mean, now it's even harder, right? With jobs, responsibility, and everything,
life, wife, kids.
But every now and then, I'll still jump on and I'll play a game or two. I played Helldivers 2 for a while because it's such an easy game to get into, right? It's just there's no real big lobby like the Call of Duty games. It's just like you go in, you find a match, you jump in, you play. I play for about 30-40 minutes, and then I'm done, right? Well, right now I'm also playing a new game called Space Marines 2, which is based off of the Warhammer property.
Yeah,
and I've been into that property since like forever, so it's like kind of a no-brainer, and I really enjoyed it. But generally speaking, I don't have the time for all the games, and yet I still buy them. Like, I don't buy them as much as I used to, but I still buy them. So like the Zelda game, I too probably won't play for a while if I play it. So.
Yeah, I think for me it's more like the music, right? I keep buying instruments and I'm not even playing them.
Yeah. I know that feeling. I just started giving away all my instruments to my kids. So basically, I'm at the point where I'm starting to get rid of things that I own.
Yeah,
and I'm telling them like, okay, when I die, this is yours. When I die, this is yours, or I just give it away.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Makes me a little happier. Like less things to worry about. I guess it's like what is that?
Yeah.
What is that saying? The possessions you keep you, or something like that. Is that what it is?
I haven't heard that.
Something like that. Which, I mean, now that I'm getting older, it's true. I am a collector.
I'm with you.
I have OCD. I do collect things, and I get passionate about something for a split second, which is another reason why I do think I'm on the spectrum, by the way, because I get really obsessive for like months, and I won't do anything but that one thing, and then afterwards, like, oh no, now I'm into this bowling cup, and I'll forget all about the other thing. So, but lately, for the last like 2 years, I've been little by little just like getting rid of possessions or just not doing it.
I'm with you. I'm not necessarily a minimalist as they say, but I am getting rid of stuff like you said, like kind of like if I don't need it, why have it? I know both of you guys are collectors, which is why I was rummaging through my stuff and I brought you a little bit, a little something.
Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Plus, we're getting the studio ready, and we're gonna put our collections in there. Like not everything, but we're gonna put some stuff in there. So
absolutely awesome.
Yeah. That'll be good. I'll put it on the set. Trust me.
Yeah, but I think by nature, right? I mean, by nature, human beings we like to collect things. I don't know why, right? It just comes innate almost, right? To have a collection of something. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
I know I do. I there's just this need to kind of own things. I mean, sometimes I used to think that it was because we grew up poor. I grew up very poor.
Same here.
Yeah, well, we're all from Bell Gardens. We were all poor.
And so,
there's no Rockefellers in Bell Gardens, dude. Come on.
Well, I had friends that kind of played the part very well, though.
Oh yeah, right? There's a lot of those posers, dude. There's a lot of those posers.
And maybe to some degree, they were much better off than, for example, my family. I definitely was on the lower end, like at least for sure when I was like in elementary school. Like I've told this story before where like I remember like my mom having to borrow $20 from the neighbor because we literally had nothing. There was no money, and we wouldn't eat if we couldn't borrow that $20. And I kind of like remember looking in the refrigerator a lot, and I do that to this day. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah,
I definitely do it because there's a sense of comfort when I see food in there, and when there isn't food, I kind of feel a little down, sad, and so I have a very unhealthy relationship with food because of it. And this idea of happiness is very much tied to it.
You said penis.
I said happiness.
Yeah, I heard penis.
Is a warm. Oh, dude, never mind. Even that song is a penis joke in itself. So, food and poor. We were poor. That's the thesis.
So to recap the thesis of today.
Yes.
Horror movies. Faces of Death,
Faces of Death,
Banda music.
porn, banda music,
Banda music.
strip clubs that you've never been to,
Oh yeah, never will be.
our
Little bit
fat
of
asses and food.
Yep.
And
That's the,
And
that's us in a nutshell.
good times.
good
Thanks, dude.
reminiscing. Yeah, no, thank you guys. And I would say it's great to reminisce, talk about all those things. I think, at this age though, it's like sometimes we hit that place where we're like, it's great to reminisce, but it's also good to move forward beyond it, right? So
Agreed.
Like, you know what? I'm ready to move forward beyond that or change this or change that. It's like a new phase of life. I think it happened to me when I hit I won't say what number, but when I hit a certain age, right? yeah.
Oh,
And I felt different. Like they said, you will feel different. And I was like, no, I don't feel different. And then about a year later, I was like,
yeah, I feel different.
I think differently. I sense things different.
My wife tells me that I always act like I'm way older, like I'm 20 years older, because I'm always like, oh, my back, all this. And I'm like, dude, that wasn't a car accident. That's why I'm all messed up now, but it's not because of that reason.
can't even play guitar or piano.
Oh, dude, that's so sad. I can't play. I have damage on my right hand from the car accident.
Oh, man.
And it's bad. I couldn't play video games for about 2 years after the accident. I barely got my eye back on my hand.
Yeah.
But every so often I will get the shooting pain or something, and it's just like. And then we went to Guitar Center a while back, and I was like, because I miss music, and but I can't play anymore. Like my hand, my pinky does this, and it locks, and I can't do nothing about it. And like, God damn it, guitar, same thing. After a while, I can't play.
Yeah, I'm so afraid of that too. I mean, look at this finger right here is crooked. My middle finger, like the end joint, and I play bass, right? And I finger pick the bass, and it doesn't bother me, but it kind of gets in the way sometimes. And it's like, oh my God, if anything happens, to your hand, it's like you're kind of out.
Yeah,
I'd rather my legs get like crushed or something. I mean, like put little wheels like Gizmo Duck or
let's not
something.
put that out there in the universe either.
No, but I'm saying like if I'm gonna get injured and something's gonna get like cut off or damaged, my legs are fine. Take them off.
Yes.
My
he
hands
has like an insurance
give 'em to
policy
me.
on himself.
I know, right? Shh, Enrique, stop.
It's like put some wheels on my legs. I'll be fine.
Gizmo Duck.
I won't call you wheels.
Wheels. Shut up. But no, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you guys, and thanks for I know you guys have been keeping it more clean lately. With
trying.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, and I
think
appreciate
we
that
did okay
too.
today, right?
Yeah, you did great today, and I felt a little bit funny when you first started talking about the topics you were talking about, but
but it's still clean. It's not. We don't get deep into
exactly.
it. It's not like I say.
Fine.
Beep.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But no, thank you guys, and I wish you guys the best, and God bless in everything you guys do. And yeah, man, hopefully we'll come back soon.
You got to come back and also keep listening because you're our only listener.
I know, right?
This is for you.
I'll put it on like 3, 4, 5 different computers, and that way,
just put them in different states. That helps a lot.
So like we talking about those topics, we're just we all had experiences. We were young and we went through them all, and we talk about them from a nostalgic perspective, but mostly just trying to learn, not necessarily with any malice, but more just like trying to see where we came from and sort of how we're growing from it. I mean, we're all old men here now, and I like to think we're all better because of the experiences, and we've learned how to navigate life a little bit more cleanly with the responsibilities.
Or so we claim.
Mark,
any shout outs before we go? You got a couple seconds?
No, just hello to all the podcasters out there. Maybe you guys can make it over here, hang out with the guys, and do a little podcast. We'd like to hear from everybody.
Love more guests.
Yeah,
Enrique?
Absolutely.
I'm hoping to grow this show. Let's do it.
I got something that grows.
I go, Chin.
Remember, never make eye contact while eating a banana. Good night, everybody.